Hello, and welcome to another episode, a bonus episode of the lore of Braunhaven. So today, I want to talk about the calendar of Braunhaven, and the calendar can really having a calendar in a campaign setting, especially, um, can really be important, especially when you're considering old school styles of play. Um, I'm not saying that I, by any means, use one-to-one time. I think that's, I mean, we're adults. We have real lives. Who has time for that? But it is important in that you can track not only um, downtime activities that as a referee, you determine how long a said downtime activity is going to take, or crafting kind of things. It can also, say you've got somebody who's been resurrected, raised dead. Um, they're they're down and out for 2 weeks. So tracking the time can be important, and I feel it is as important as tracking 10-minute turns and hours in a dungeon. It is important to track um, the months and weeks, and so the calendar in the Braunhaven region is just simply known as the calendar of Braunhaven. Um, the Glaucian Empire, this particular area, right in like probably about this area, is known as the Braunhaven region. Um, and this is where this calendar originated and has been adopted by the Glaucian Empire as a whole. That is not to say that is used worldwide. It is not. There are other countries that use their own timekeeping methods. Like, for instance, Arabashia's timekeeping method is far more advanced than the Braunhaven calendar. But the Braunhaven calendar came about around the time of the Reckoning, so around negative 2000 is when it first started to come into use, and of course that was by druids and witches and the free folk who worship the old gods. And it consists of 12 months that are made up of 4 weeks each, for a total of 28 days in a month. And each day is 24 hours long. And the days of the week are dedicated to the old gods, starting with the god Montes, the mountain father. He's kind of, for the old gods, they don't necessarily have a Zeus-like figure or a king of the gods, but if they did, it would probably be Montes. He was kind of the first one to kind of arrive on the scene, and it is because of Montes and his mountains and earthworks and stonework that the prime plane really came into being. And so the first day of the week is Montes. It is the beginning of your work week, followed by Tula. Tula, of course, being the mother goddess. She is the goddess of grain and livestock, and she is the patron mother of humans and halflings, and she is the goddess of brewing and harvest. So, um, you know, that that whole day is given over to Tula. Third day of the week is wedding. Now, wedding, being the middle, I guess the middle of the work week, and they pretty much have a 6 day work week. So wedding would be the middle of the work week, and wedding is the traditional day of the week that you would hold a wedding ceremony, usually consisting of a hand fasting, um, and a dedication before the gods, wedding in particular. And wedding is the goddess of love, compassion, and fertility. She's the patron mother of weddings. So, um, yeah, that if you're going to get married, the third day of the week, wedding, is the day that you traditionally would do it. The fourth day is Thuros. Um, Theros, I wrote all these and it's hard to remember all of them, but he is the god of elemental fire. He is the great flame and the ash father. Um, it's not that that the fourth day of the week is really dedicated to lighting bonfires. I suppose if you were going to, you'd probably want to do it on the fourth day of the week, just to stroke his ego. But yeah, that the fourth day is Theros. The fifth day of the week, and it is considered. I'm sorry, I misspoke. They have a 5-day work week. The fifth day of the work week is Frisia, and it is considered the end of the work week. Now, Frisia, she's an interesting one. Assuming that I can find her. Let's see. Frisia is the goddess of elemental air, the great wind mother, the gentle breeze. And so, being the end of the work week, she is the goddess that she was born from the heat of Thuros moving across Montus's open hand, and and that convection created a new goddess, or at least that's what the worshippers of the old gods believe. The sixth day of the work week is Satis, and on Satis, it is the traditional day for worship of the gods, and not and originally, of course, that was the worship of the old gods, but in the current age, of course, that has well, even more so than just the current age, probably since the reckoning has kind of moved over, and it is now just the day of worship of the known gods. So both the old gods and the Council of 12 Elder Gods are worshipped on the sixth day. And Satis is the god or goddess of elemental water. She's the great wave mother, the Kraken in the deep. And the part where the Kraken in the deep moniker, Satis is a neutral god. She can swing either way. She's usually only worshipped, or not only, but she's mostly worshipped by sailors and river folk, but also by farmers, of course, because they want rain, and they don't want too much rain because then they get floods, and that ruins harvests as well. So worship to Satis is particularly important for farmers, sailors, and riverfolk. But she's known as the Kraken in the deep because she can be particularly cruel, especially to sailors, but also to riverfolk with the floods and whatnot. That can be quite dangerous, especially on the Great River, as large as that river is. If it reaches flood stages and you're in a rowboat fishing, you can kind of be boned. And then, of course, the seventh day of the week is tied over for a day of rest. Generally speaking, shops in towns will be closed. The open market that you sometimes see don't generally operate on Sinaz, which is the seventh day of the week. This is a day for screwing off. Sitting under a tree with a jug of good cider or mead and watching the day go by, or in the winter months, of course, sitting by the fireside and just putting your feet up and maybe reading a good book by lantern or candlelight. Sainaz is the patron father of the elves, and he's the god of the forest. He's the lord of woodland beasts. And he's, of course, he is of lawful alignment, so he's a good guy. Um, he's best known for having given birth to the elves and creating the forests for the elves to live in. So those are your 7 days of the week, and then the 12 months of the year are given over to the Council of the 12 Elder Gods. The first month is the month of Janus, which is pretty much midwinter, and we'll get to festivals in the next episode. But Janus, he he is a Zeus-like figure. So Janus is the king of the elder gods. He's the ruler of the celestial palace, and the celestial palace is uh, to the people of Braunhaven, that is another plane of existence. And if you're a good person, or you've at least done good deeds, it is your hope that that is where you will end up after you die, is in the Celestial Palace. He's also known as the beginning of time and the Winter Lord, and he is of lawful alignment. Now, it it is interesting that he's of lawful alignment, because that doesn't necessarily mean that he does really good things, because he doesn't always do good things. One of the things that he does is he cheats on his wife, and one of the adages known throughout the empire is to do ye as Janus commands, not as Janus does. Um, so yeah, he's generally a good guy. He at least he rules fairly and evenly, and so he is the beginning of the year. The second month of the year is Festus. It is towards the later end of winter, and it is given over to the goddess Festus. She is the queen of the thawing heart, the mistress of fickle desire, and her ladyship of lust. So, wedding is the goddess of compassion, and kind of um, promotes that conventional wedding marriage type atmosphere. Whereas Festus, uh, this month is kind of given over to temptation and um, and lust. One of the things that Festus is really known for is that um, if you have a young woman who is um, she has suitors, and she uh, isn't, the blacksmith's kid is trying to get this young girl to marry him, and she is um, not really that into him, or um, unsure of the whole thing. Festus, being the queen of the thawing heart, it is known that if this girl were to change her mind, it is probably because Festus um, has touched her in some way, uh, and thawed her heart. And among the women of many towns and villages, a saying goes that Festus knows he wasn't such a bad guy, and you could do quite well. Meaning that Festus has touched you in some way, and you should reconsider your previous position. And so that is the second month of the year. The third month is Maricus. And it is the beginning of spring. And Maricus, he is the elder god known as the messenger and the herald of spring. So he is basically, this month is Maricus coming into the world and basically saying, "Hey, everybody, perk up. Better days are coming. It's going to be the planting season, and there's going to be better weather." And so he's kind of a jolly ne'er do well kind of flighty guy. And the fourth month is Aepus. That is the middle of spring. Aepus, um, Aepus is I'm sorry, the goddess Aepus is the daughter of the rains and giver of nourishment, and she is known as the Gray Lady. So when the skies turn dark, and it starts to rain, and there's lightning, and this is Aepus, in Germanic. Aepus. Aepus is the fourth month, middle of spring, and she's bringing the rains so that your crops will grow nice and big. And then, of course, the end of spring is Massus. And Massus, we haven't really touched on Massus too much, but he is the harbinger of summer. He is the gatekeeper, and he's also known as the tactician. And he's a lot of times he is really overlooked, and he doesn't even have a distinct holiday in his name, but um, he is particularly looked to by magic users, illusionists, and necromancers. Maybe not so much necromancers, but mostly magic users and illusionists, because he is the gatekeeper of arcane knowledge. Um, One of the things that Massus is really known for is that he was actually the guiding hand in the birth of the Archmage Maximilian Tassadantilus. So it was him that prodded all of the other gods to drop a spark of their divine being into Maximilian, and Massus guaranteed his birth, and then everybody kind of put a part of themselves into him, turning the baby into a future avatar of the gods. The first month of summer is the sixth month, and it is Janao. Janau's a really popular god. Not just, not just because it's the beginning of summer. Hey, everybody loves summer, but he is the warm prophet. He is the lord of sunlight. He is the bringer of dawn. He is of lawful alignment, and so he has a lot of clerics that are running around, um, promoting his belief and his tenets. Month number 7 is the month of Julief, midsummer. Most noted for the midsummer festival. Julief is the celestial bride, the mother of summer. She is the wife of Janus. But it should be noted that for the most part, Julief and Janus are estranged. They are separated. And the reason for that being is that Janus likes to spend time with his consort, Decus. Um, and Julief is kind of bitter and witchy about it. Um, but she is the midsummer. Then there is, of course, the 8th month, the end of summer, Agaron. And Agaron is the warbringer, the feeder of tombs, and the angry lord. He is a chaotic god. He's angry, he's vengeful, he's pissed off all the time. And he's most commonly depicted as a cyclops in full plate armor, and he's wielding a massive iron maul that he likes to use to crack the earth. And basically, he goes around liking to frighten mortals. Then you have the ninth month, the first month of fall, the month of Septum. Um, and of course, Septum, the fall is going to be um, the time of harvest. And so Septum is the grandfather harvest. He's the brewmeister, and he is known as the waning days. And so these are, of course, the days when the sunlight, dark. The sun sets earlier. Days aren't quite as long, so you're having to either get up much earlier to do your harvest, or you're not getting as much done throughout the day. Mid fall, the 10th month is given over to Octus. And that month is best known for the holiday of Veil's Eve. And like I said, we'll get into the holidays next session. But Octus is the Lord of the Dead, the Nightbringer. He who is in the shadows, and he is the ruler of the Shadow Realm, and he is known as the Lord of the Dead. So the month of Octus is a peculiar time because it is known that during the month of Octus, that is when the veil that separates the prime plane from the shadow realm is at during this wobbly rotation that the planes do. It is at its thinnest point, and there can be some cross pollination between the Shadow Realm and the Prime Plane. And so Veil's Eve is the holiday when it is said that that night is when it is thinnest. So, if it's going to go down, it's probably going to go down on Veil's Eve. Month number 11 is the final month of fall, and that is the month of Navius. 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 Navius is the cold mistress, the Stygian queen, and Frostmogden. So she is chaotic alignment, and she is very interesting because she did something that none of the other gods have done. She is not a devil. That is something to really keep in mind. She's not a devil. She's not a fiend or a demon or any of that. She is a god. And she decided that she was going to descend into the nine hells, and she took over the Stygian layer and basically set herself up. Now, this had some ramifications, and she, in doing that, Navius basically booted out the previous ruler, and this released Vuslux into the prime plane, and now he is um, basically not necessarily turning the prime plane into another version of the Stygian layer, but he is going to take. It is his goal to take it over. That is entirely what he wants to do. And then, of course, the final month of winter is the month of Decus, and so Decus is the Winter Lord, the Frozen Consort, and the Giving Father, and he is in a he is a consort of Janus, and um, Decus is basically he's a festive god. He likes to he enjoys a large feast, a blazing fire in the hearth, and he likes really strong spiced drink. And so, he is lawful alignment, and generally, Decus, he wants for all mortals to take care of one another, love each other, seed each other. And so the entire month of Decus is given over to the Festival of Giving, which then rolls into, on the first day of Janus, the Festival of the Dawning Year, and the Festival of the Dawning Year doesn't last an entire month, but it is quite the to do. It lasts for 1 week, so that you've got this entire month of partying, and then the first week of Janus is then like a New Year's party from day 1 to day 7, and then you wake up after that with a terrible hangover and you have to go to work. So that's your day of the week system and your 12 months of the year, and how that all operates in the Braunhaven campaign setting, or at least in the Glaucian Empire. Next time we will go into each of these festivals. I don't know if we'll do. It may be multiple episodes because these festivals can be. There's a lot to them, despite what is in the actual book. There's quite a lot to some of these. So next time we'll get into festivals, starting with we'll start at Decus with the Festival of Giving, or actually, since it's October and Halloween's coming up, let's start next episode with Veil's Eve. And so we'll get into more about what goes on Veil's Eve next time on the Lore of Braunhaven.